All right. Well, thank you for watching, and we are going to demo today how to make a basically online TV station. My name is Justin Miller. I am the webinar and video producer over here at Wowza Media Systems, and with me is Tim Doherty. How's it going, Tim?
It's going pretty good, Justin. Let's see if we can do a demo today. What do you think?
I think we can. And of all people, Tim is the master of this, so I'm very excited that he is here and willing to show us. So, Tim, where are we beginning? Now, we're going to basically be showing how to do this using Wowza Streaming Engine, right?
Yeah. The idea is to leverage a component inside Wowza called Stream Publisher. It's been in the product for quite some time, but it's one of those things that someone like myself or other people in Wowza, including our support team, we're always, sending out an article that says, "Hey, take this, disassemble it, unpack it, figure it out." We're actually going to take that on in a live session here today. Well, it's live between you and me, and make sure that we can prove that it works. I know it works. I say that somewhat facetiously, actually, but I'd like to demo the playlist for sure.
I understand it's always good to show live exactly how something operates so people can walk through it themselves and do it. So,
Exactly.
where are we going to start here?
Well, as I mentioned before, I'll be working with someone who's interested in um, putting together a playlist of videos that streams as if it was live. So the best thing to do is to set up the scenario. Someone could ask me, "Hey, I want a person, or I want people to go to my website and pull up the page where the video is playing, and I want it to look exactly like it's live." So you could be, say, putting together an online TV station, and it could be called timsawesometvstation.com. And you go to that site and you click on it, and it opens up a player, and it looks like it's been going. I could schedule it. I could schedule a program on cooking at 1 p.m. and a program on mountain biking at 2 p.m. And you would join it, and it would be as if you're turning on a TV cable program.
Right, exactly.
And
So in a way, it is exactly a TV station that has regularly scheduled TV shows that you can have watch going on at any time. So at 2 a.m. there'd be something completely different happening than at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
yeah, and there's a certain novelty to it. I mean, of course, you can do video on demand scheduling. You can watch it right, anytime from the beginning to end. But there's something unique when you join a stream that's already in progress. So it supports certain use cases. I've worked with a very large institution where they were actually streaming a catalog of online classes as if they were live around the clock. So they would be inclined to get to their desk or get to their screen at 2 o'clock so they can watch that cooking program. So it creates a little sense of urgency, a little sense of right now, but it's definitely pre-programming a playlist. And Wowza can do all of that server side, and it's extremely reliable.
Sounds great. Where do we
Yeah.
begin?
Well, what we do when people want to do this is we you'll see it on the right hand side of your screen. You see this article, and Wowza has hundreds of articles and tutorials on how to do kind of cool little things with the product. And this one I love because it's satisfying. You get to see stuff happening, and you get this sense of control. So how to schedule streaming with Wowza Streaming Engine, and it uses what's called the Stream Publisher. That's the word in parentheses, Stream Publisher with no space, and that's the module that we're going to install. So if you wanted to do this and you've already set up Wowza, you've figured out how to do a live stream, you've already figured out how to do video on demand, and you've got it installed, maybe you've been using it for a while and you love the product, this is a little more of an advanced step because it involves using some SMIL text editing. You have to go into the file system and install this module. We're going to do all this in a minute, and it's all outlined right here in this article. So you can follow this step by step. So I'm going to pretend I've never done this before, and I'm just going to walk through the instructions that Wowza provides, and hopefully, if anyone out there are giving this a try for the first time, you'll just kind of get a little video tutorial out of it.
And just to be on the safe side, I am going to put on the screen right now that URL just to make sure people can find it and read the whole URL right there.
Definitely, yeah, because it's a long URL. You can see it up here. It's got a lot of stuff in there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely provide that for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. What you've got here, let's get situated. We have the article here on the right side, and then on the left side we have Wowza Streaming Engine. This is just a local instance that I have running. And if you've used Wowza before, you know exactly what we're talking about. With Wowza, you can take a look at server settings. You can go into application settings. You have a lot of options in the Wowza Streaming Engine Manager, graphic user interface, whatever you want to call it. Right now, we're going to actually create an application and set it up for the publisher. So let's go back over here to the right. There is some description. Talks about just some of the prerequisites, how to install it. These are, I'm going to reserve this to you going through it one-on-one. So I'm just going to scroll right down here. The first thing you have to do, obviously, you have to have Wowza Streaming Engine 4.0 or later installed. And then you need to actually download this module to modify your Wowza installation. So I'm going to download the streampublisher.zip right here. And I have a folder in my downloads folder called Stream Schedule. I'm going to save it right here. So I've done that, and it says extract the contents from the downloaded package into the lib folder. So this is the name of it, wse-plugin-streampublisher.jar, and this is the folder in Wowza where that needs to be. So let's go ahead and drop it in there. I'm going to pull up my text editor, or excuse me, my FTP client. So this is me inside the Wowza Streaming Engine folder. So you can see some of the things that, well, I have to go into the USR directory, and then I have to go into local, and then I have to go into Wowza. This is the Wowza Streaming Engine working folder. This is your installation directory. So those of you familiar with Wowza, you'll see applications, you'll see content. This is the folder hierarchy that we work with when we're working with Wowza. So I'm going to go into, just like it says over here, the lib folder. So that's this folder right here. And then here, I need to extract this, and I need to do that in the Finder. So I'm going to go over to the Finder, wherever it is.
I'm curious, is the things that I'm seeing right now in that folder, are those other modules that you work with, or are those standard modules that are already part of Wowza Streaming Engine?
That's an excellent question. These are modules that are part of Wowza Streaming Engine. I have a very generic install running. So this is basically what you see when you first install Wowza. So these are some, like when they make improvements to the product, or if they add a feature, it may include a jar file in the lib folder. And again, I'm not a Java developer. I wish I was, but I'm not. So there's a lot of detail to that, and I have some great colleagues who could explain it much better than I can. So I'm going to extract this this little package that we just downloaded. I'm going to make it a little bigger so you can see what's going on. And it's really intuitive. You know, I go in here and there's the lib folder, and then there's the jar file. So you could almost do this without having to follow the directions. And I'm using this program called Transmit, so I'm just going to drag and drop it over onto my Wowza server. And I should see WSC plugin if I scroll here.
Yep, it's right at the bottom.
Good, I see it at the bottom. Okay, your picture was covering it up. So there we go. I can check that one off. I'm going to go back over to the article and move on to the next step, which is restart Wowza Streaming Engine. Well, I'm going to restart Wowza Streaming Engine later because I'm a rebel. But I will definitely restart Wowza Streaming Engine before I actually run the playlist. It has a little bit of description here using this setup as a server configuration or an application configuration. So if you use Wowza, you know that we have application configurations, which is basically a bucket of settings. Right now, I'm going to just set this up as a global server configuration. So the server is actually going to be listening for streams. It's going to be running the playlists that we're going to set up at the server level. But if you want to get more advanced, you can do it at the application level. And so basically what we do is we take these properties and the module name, and we apply it to Wowza Streaming Engine. So right now it says to enable the server listener, add the following server listener definition to your Wowza configuration. So that means I have to go over to the server tab, and then I go to server listeners, and that's under server setup. So over here on the left, it's server setup. It defaulted there for me. I go to server listeners, I press edit, and then I hit add server listener, base class. And this also says class name. So it's fairly fairly intuitive what we're doing here. So I'm going to copy this string of text. I'm going to put it over here, paste it, and add that. So I've added that, and then I'm going to hit save to execute it. Now I could restart now, but I know that at the end of all this configuration, I'm going to have to do one big restart. So I'm just going to save that for later. But Wowza does know when you've modified it, and it wants you to apply those settings, and that's why it's prompting me to restart. So I've got
In
the
a rebel here.
well, you know, that's kind of goes with the territory, right? So now I'm
Giving,
going to apply. Go ahead, Justin.
I was just saying, you're giving people directions here, and you're telling them, "Don't listen, don't listen. It says restart now. Don't worry about it."
You know,
But I understand. I understand. Having to restart over and over again does take a lot of time.
yeah. I'll just level set. You may see in the screen share that it's asking for a restart constantly. Having had gone through this, I'm going to set up all the properties. I'm going to create the playlist. I'm going to do the whole thing, and then I'm just going to restart the server. It's just an extra couple of steps. If you feel better restarting it incrementally, there's no problem doing that. So let me add these server properties. I'm telling Wowza how to use this module that I unzipped and I installed. So we're going to go over, we're still under server. See, we're under server up here, so we're going to go to properties. And I'm going to add a custom property. So this has a neat little bookmark that can take you down to the bottom. So there's several properties in here, the JAMX remote configuration, license server proxy. There's other default properties that are in there, but I'm going to go to custom. So I'm actually going to hit the edit button under custom and add a custom property. And so this is how it works. If we go over to the right, there's the path, there's the name, the type, and then the value. Okay? Path, name, type, and value. Now, for sake of documentation, there's a little bit of help here in this column that tells you what's going on. So if you want to slow down and read a little bit more about what these properties do, it's certainly in there. But just for sake of just a quick setup, I'm already in root server, which is the default. So I'm going to take the name of this property, copy it, paste it over here in this name. I see that it's a string. I see that it's a string. I'm going to go to default vhost. I'm not going to get into what Wowza does with vhost configurations. We're just going to follow the default settings. And one thing you'll see me do here is I like to make sure there aren't extra spaces. Wowza, just like many accurate software applications, it's very sensitive to uppercase, lowercase, and then I don't like to have spaces inside these properties. I don't know whether it makes a difference or not, but it's cleaner. So you'll notice like when I pasted this, see that extra space right there, or a tab? That bothers me. So I'm taking that out, just making sure it's clean. So there's this, the vhost. We're going to add another custom property, and this one's called, again, root server, name, stream publisher application, and then you want to have the actual name of the application. So in this case, name of the application instance where the schedule is going to be loaded on. So this is where the schedule is going to publish to. So it's going to publish to an application called Live, which is the default application. If you wanted to have an application called Justin's Super Streamer 5000, you would have to say here in this property, instead of it being Live, it'd have to be Justin's Super Streamer 5000. Okay? You going to do that,
Like
Justin?
a great name. I like that.
Okay.
Are
Let me
you
grab.
so are you a space guy or are you a tab guy?
I think I'm a tab guy all the way. Yeah. I like the cleanliness and the symmetry of the tabs.
Fair enough. So this is live just because live is the default setting, and live we know that everybody who's installed Wowza Streaming Engine already has.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
So there are also some other properties here that are definable, but most of them are in a default state. So let me scroll. I'm trying. There it is. There's the bottom of the table. So I'm going to scroll over to the right so you can see some of the descriptions. This is the name of the SMI file that actually holds the playlist. But one thing you'll see is default stream schedule.smil. Default on this one, true. Default, true. you can actually leave these properties out. And having done just the work over here that we've done, it'll get the playlist started. So
So as
I'm
long as the playlist is actually called streamschedule.smil, we're good to go, you're saying?
that is correct. So you could imagine there being multiple playlists. There could be multiple aspects of how it's logged, and there's a lot of detail here that you would get into upon a deeper implementation. But for sake of this demo, I'm going to leave all the things to default. Is that cool?
Works for me.
All right, so I'm going to make sure you save your work. So I've added these custom properties, and sometimes you feel like, oh, wow, I entered this information. You have to save it. That writes it to disk. And then the next task is to, well, the next task is to go back to the documentation and make sure that we're following the directions properly, is to create a schedule. And again, it says each application that configures has to have its own SMIL file. So this is where you actually write the text file that's going to tell you what video to play when. So it's actually kind of cool. A couple things in here it talks about on the schedule, like for a live source, you could actually do this with a live source. So you could have from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. a live source, and then at 2 a.m. it would switch over to a video, and then you got to go back to a live source. So there's a lot of flexibility that you have here. And just imagine, the potential there as far as being a live event producer, knowing that your event's not going to be live until 2 p.m. You could have something else playing until 1:59, and then it would switch over to your encoder stream live at like 1:59 and 30 seconds. There's just a lot of configurability there. So in here, it's some tips on how to set up the SMIL file. If you read through it, you can see that it makes sense. Like for example, if it's live, you use -2 as the start parameter. If it's an on-demand video, you can start at 0 just because it starts at the very beginning, or you can start at 30, which would be 30 seconds. A lot of flexibility. So let's jump ahead and let's go ahead and create the SMI file. And guess what? Wowza's already got an example in here for us. So I'm going to copy this text, and I'm going to open up my handy dandy text editor. Really, I'm gonna. There we are. So you should all be able to see my text editor here, where I'm going to paste the text and start to build this playlist. So let's get familiar with some of the elements here. First of all, it starts with the stream names. So if you've used Wowza before, you know that you start an encoder and you send a stream to Wowza. You can call it whatever you want. If you're using the Go coder, you can call it my Go coder stream. If you're using, if Justin's using a Go coder, he can call it Justin's Go coder stream. So what this one is going to do is actually create 2 streams, and it's going to send them to the live application, stream 1 and stream 2. Now, I'm going to simplify it. I'm only going to send 1 stream. So I'm going to delete this string of text here. And then there's different playlists that can play simultaneously. And again, I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to remove the other playlists of video because I really want this to be a simple configuration. So right now, you're looking at a file that it's SMIL, and it has a body, a container for the body, and it's basically saying I'm going to create a stream called stream 1, and I'm going to use a playlist. So the playlist name is PL1, and it's playing to this stream, stream 1, which is defined here. There's the ability to configure repeat. So if you want this playlist to loop, it certainly can do that. And then you can tell it when to start. You always want to make sure this date is in the past if you want it to start right when you start Wowza. Otherwise, I could say 2019 4:15, and it would do nothing until that date actually registered. So I'm going to leave it on 2016. Were you going to say something, Justin?
Yeah, I was going to say, so it needs to actually have scheduled information right there regardless.
It does. It does. The assumption
You can't
is,
just remove that value or something.
yeah, if you remove this, it'll probably break and it'll throw an error inside the Wowza log.
Okay, so just have a date that's already passed. That's all you're saying.
And you don't have to totally worry about it because the example that we just pulled, it's 2016, and last time I checked, that was 2 years ago. I hope I'm right on that. So it'll automatically just start up.
You will be until next year.
Exactly. So this is where the fun starts. This is where we're actually going to say, okay, I want to stream which file at which time, and this is a sequence. So you got video 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go over to my FTP client, and I'm going to go into the content folder because I put some videos in here earlier just for this occasion. So I've got trailers for the movie The Martian, and then I've got something on the Men in Black, and then I've got a Star Trek trailer, so it kind of has a little science fiction vibe. So anyway, I know that I've got Martian, so oh no, don't download it. It just downloaded it. Oops, closing that. I wanted to just grab the text like this. So I've got martian.mp4. I'm going to go back to my text editor. I'm going to call this martian.mp4. And these have to be located in the content folder. So you can see in the FTP client that I'm in my Wowza installed directory, and then I'm in content. And there's a file in there called sample.mp4, which is default. Every installation of Wowza gets that. But I added some cool files so that we could see, a Star Trek video, then The Martian, and then Men in Black. So you can actually see the playlist working. So I got Martian, MIB, and Trek. So I'm going to go back to my playlist. I'm going to say Martian, and then I'm going to call this one MIB, and this one Trek right here. And the Martian's going to start at 0, and it's going to run for 10 seconds. And it's fairly logical. Start at the beginning, run for 10 seconds. Men in Black will start at 0. Oh, let's have it start at 10, and it will go for 10 seconds. And by the way, it says over here in the document that if you use -1, it'll play it through to the entire end of the file. So if I wanted to play that entire Men in Black video, which I think is like 45 minutes long, it's making of the Men in Black. It's not an illegal video. I would never do that. I don't believe in pirating software or media. That's completely wrong. Nobody should ever do that ever. So anyway, so if I wanted to play the entire video, I would say -1. But right now, I'm just going to have the length be 10 seconds, and then same with the Trek. I'll have it start at 5 seconds, and it will be 10 seconds long.
So just to be clear, I'm sorry. You had the first one starting at 0 and it goes for 10 seconds. Now the next one you said start at 10. Does that mean 10 seconds into the movie?
It does, absolutely.
Okay.
So let's say we know that video has like something at the beginning of it that is just black screen, and the real tasty part of the video is maybe 7 seconds in. I could define that right there.
Okay. So if it had like a countdown at the beginning of it, you could bypass that countdown, move 10 seconds
Absolutely.
in. Okay.
Yep. 100%. So I've made this this playlist here, and then it actually tells us very specifically that the schedule needs to be saved as stream schedule.smil. It actually was defined as a default in
Right.
these properties. So right here, you can't totally see it, but I'm going to grab. Okay, good. I'm going to grab the name there, and I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to save this in my Downloads folder right there, and I'm just going to save it as streamschedule.smil on my local file system.
Sorry, wait. Before you do anything, I see line breaks in encoding. Is there a concern with any of that when you save it as a specific type of file?
Typically, I just ignore that, and I'm in a program called Text Wrangler, and I just, instead of using the default, which is that, it thinks it's an HTML file, I'm just pasting the name I got from over here.
Okay.
And from my experience with this particular text editor, that turns it into an SMIL file.
Okay.
So if I go over to the Finder here, the actual file system, I had it minimized. So downloads, stream schedule, you can see that there's an SMIL file there, and it looks fairly legit. Now Windows has some weird tendencies. Sometimes you'll see in the Windows Explorer it'll just say stream schedule because it knows what an SMIL is, and you have to actually tell Windows to show the file extension, and that's a whole other conversation. So jumping back over to my my FTP client, there's the stream schedule.smil. Here we are in the Wowza application, or the Wowza installation folder. And I'm going to go back and double check where to save this playlist, because sometimes I forget if it should be in the comp folder, or should it be in the content folder.
Right, and I see right over there it says applications content storage directory. So
yep,
same directory as the sample.mp4 file you'll find.
Exactly, and these little details will get you when you're working with any software application, particularly Wowza, we want everything right where it's supposed to be. Sometimes there are properties where you can use different locations, but for a default installation, it wants to be in the content storage directory. So I'm very simply going to upload this. I'm just going to drag it over here, and it's uploaded. So I've got my schedule defined. We went ahead and did all those properties. Now, guess what, Justin? We're going to restart the server. So in case
Finally.
you're going to do it, in case you're going to do it my way, you might need to find the restart. So if you go to server, I just clicked it, and you go to server setup, there's this handy dandy restart button up here. So I'm going to click that. Now, if everything worked right, and don't feel bad if it doesn't work right the first time, after the software restarts, and by the way, it's just a quick 5-second restart on the Wowza side. You're not having to reboot Windows or Linux or anything like that. It's just a quick little refresh of the server. So now that it's rebooted, I'm crossing my fingers here. I should go over to live. So I went over to applications. I'm going to look at my live application. Then I'm going to go down here to incoming streams. Oh, and I see some stuff coming in already. You can see the transcoders running. And I'm going to click on stream 1. I've got some data coming in here. So I'm going to hit test player. And it should be playing. And there it is. So that looks like, what do you think? Is that the Star Trek one? Oh, and it
That
already
is the
switched.
Star Trek one.
So it went to the Star Trek. Now what is, which one do you think this is? Yep. See what I mean about starting the video later? See, we're
Men in
actually
Black,
starting. Yeah. So now it's in the Men in Black, and then it's going to switch back to the other one, and it's just going to switch back and forth every 10 seconds until it looks a little cleaner. So we've successfully set up the stream schedule. Let's work with it together for just a second, because I'm not satisfied with this right here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me ask you a question. If you go back to Wrangler, text
Uh-huh.
Wrangler there.
Uh-huh.
So we have 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. So that's 30 seconds there. And
Mm-hmm.
repeat is set to true. So this will repeat that same 30 seconds now over and over again.
Over and over again. But I'm kind of disappointed that I have to see this motion picture thing and all that legality stuff at the beginning. So I'm going to start it at 20 seconds, each one of them, because I want to see some serious contrasting video. I want you to go from Men in Black to Trek and then to, Martian. I want to see something that actually looks interesting in my playlist. So we're doing 10 seconds each pop, and it's starting at 20 seconds on the timeline. So what do? I save it. So I save the video. I have to I'm not working live on the server, so I'm going to have to jump through this one step of
re-uploading.
Yeah, so
For
bear
sure.
with me, folks. It's gonna not like what I'm doing because I'm replacing a file. It looks like it's done. And then the one thing that you'll have to work through when you're working with the playlist is you have to actually restart the server, the Wowza
Right.
streaming engine, in order to restart the playlist.
But that also, like you said, as soon as that 5 seconds starts, it starts that playlist right from that point.
That's right. And it's also possible to use a little Flash application. It's mentioned in the article, I believe. Yeah, here it is right here. To get a free pre-built Flash application that has this functionality, it's the ability to refresh the playlist without having to restart Wowza. But honestly, I just restart Wowza. It's easier. If you were doing a full implementation and you have developers and all that stuff, then you can do so much with this module. But we're just having a nice little simple setup here. So let's go back over to applications and let's go to incoming streams. We should see stream 1. There it is. And let's see how it looks now.
Say this is it.
So it's kind of cool. And then it switched over to Men in Black. There we go. No problem.
All right.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And this will go forever.
Well, not forever, 10 seconds, right? And then it jumps to the other one.
10
All
seconds
right.
at a time, and then it goes over to the Star Trek one. And see how it's more interesting starting it later in the timeline?
So if we wanted a trailer station where we just showed trailers of movies, we could make something like that and then set them all for maybe 7-10 seconds in, so we didn't have to see the rated R for mature or something else.
Absolutely.
That's great. Hey, thank you for showing us this. This is great.
No problem. Now I had a player set up, but I had actually had it under a different application name, so I'm not going to go into that. But you've seen the end-to-end. I mean, if you just use the default settings here,
Hmm.
see this you use your stream schedule at SMIL. Don't worry about any of this stuff that's a little more advanced in the setup application. And basically, all you have to do is dive in. Remember, we copied the server listener over here in the server side. So we copied our server listener in there, and then we copied these two properties, which were right here under
Right.
custom, and made a really cool playlist,
Right.
and that was it. And you can make another, like if you want to make another one, it's really easy. I could copy this and then call this stream two. Let me do it really quick. You got a minute?
I was going to ask you to do something,
Okay.
but
What do you got?
I think we are not set up for it. But this was very
Okay.
interesting. Earlier, you had talked about um, implementing these, and then say like after this is done for 10 seconds, we see 10 seconds of an actual live stream happening.
Right.
That
Right.
that had me very curious. I think we're not set up for it today, but
Now,
you
I'm
know,
kind of set up for it, but because you and I want to look like we really know what we're doing, let's just not get too ahead of ourselves.
no problem. Guys, if anybody wants to see that, feel free to contact us and say, we want to see how to do that. Because I'm going to tell you, I would love to have like a regular live stream that's happening and then interject throughout the day my own advertising.
Absolutely, no problem. And that's what people are doing with this. They're using it for advertising. They're using it for. There's another cool module called Loop Until Live, which uses what we've done as a foundation. And then when you connect your encoder, it overrides the playlist and starts playing whatever's live. And the opposite happens when it disconnects.
So
The,
I got to ask in relation to that.
sure.
I had honestly, until you and I had talked about this before, I had never heard of this module. do we
Really?
do we
Okay.
store these modules somewhere for people to find or know about, or how does someone find out that there's a module like this for
There is this really cool website called the Wowza Forum, and we have what's called the module collection. So if you were to go to a search engine like Google or Google itself and you just typed Wowza module collection, you'd probably end up on this page. And we
okay?
actually have a page here that has all kinds of utility modules.
How do you
And,
get
and
to it though from our links at the top?
why don't we go ahead and include that in the summary of the webinar, because it takes a little bit of searching to find. These are kind of bolt-ons that we support with
Okay.
Wowza Streaming Engine, and they're very interesting. In fact, it'd be really great to take some time and work through these, just talking through what some of them do, because they're quite powerful. And that's why I'm so excited about doing this particular um, uh, session, Justin, because not everybody knows about this really cool playlist function inside of Wowza. So I strongly encourage people to take advantage of it. Even a basic streaming workflow can benefit by having
Yeah.
a VOD to live playlist.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You talked about this being advanced, and I think some
Mm-hmm.
people think of advanced as that means I shouldn't go touch it. But in my mind, what we're really saying is we're just taking Wowza Streaming Engine and bringing it to the next level. And that's really what people want, in my mind. I think
Yes,
people want to
definitely.
say, oh, this functionality is available. How do I
Mm-hmm.
do that? So
Yep.
thank you again for showing us how to do this. Really appreciate it.
One quick thing, and I need to emphasize this. It's
Yep.
very important. You'll see that we have 3 videos we're doing here in this playlist. Make sure, for as a best practice, that they're all the same resolution, and if you can, the same frame rate. It just makes life easier, because the player will be playing, like, let's say it's playing a 4K video, and then all of a sudden it switches to 720p. Oh, okay. And sometimes that process of going from a live video at 4K, and then all of a sudden the live video switches sizes. And some players, some devices, that can be an issue. So make sure that you've got your video transcoded to where they're all the same resolution. And before this session, I know that Martian and MIB and Trek.mp4, I know those are all 720p videos. So that's why it works so smoothly. And that's if you do have issues and you don't know why your playlist is bumping from video to video, our support team that'd probably be one of the first things they suggest you check.
No,
So
definitely
kind
something
of,
good to think about. Yeah,
yeah,
always
best practice.
same resolution. I mean, but that's true in any broadcast situation. You don't want to switch resolutions on people all the time because you don't know actually how that's also going to affect things on their own system.
100%. You've got it. So anyway, that's it. I you
So
know
you just did something though. While we were talking about this, you added that second playlist, and you popped it in the bottom. Did you restart? I didn't think I saw you.
I snuck a restart in there. Yeah, it's quick. It's quick and easy. So now we've got two streams coming in, and I'm a little worried because the transcoder's turned on with this VM, and it's a really weak virtual machine. But it's so far still running. So you see stream one, and then you see stream two. So stream two should be that Big Buck Bunny sample.mp4 that comes with Wowza, and it's only playing a 10-second clip. So it's just kind of looping this little 10-second file here. It actually looked really good on my screen. So there's that playlist on the side, and really, I mean, it's so easy just to add more videos, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it.
So
So
I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
actually I got lost here for a second. These are both on the same stream, or these are two separate playlists that are running in tandem?
great question. There's stream one, and then down here is stream two. I have the transcoder running, so it's showing more streams. I can turn the transcoder.
So we're basically making two channels, right?
Yes, yes,
So we have our public access channel and then our private subscriber channel,
that's right.
all both running at the same time. Great to
That's
know. I actually didn't even know that that functionality was feasible, and now you just showed me how to do it. So that's great.
and I cleaned it up a little bit. So you see stream one and stream two. Stream two is the Big Buck Bunny,
Right.
and then stream one is the movie trailers.
Right.
And then of course, I think repetition
Yeah.
helps a lot in situations like this. There's stream one, stream two, playlist one, playlist two. Playlist one is going to stream one. Playlist two is going to stream two. Once you got these set up, I mean, you can easily just copy, paste, and if I have another video in there, which I don't think I do, but I've got MIB. So let's say I want to run MIB.mp4. I mean, watch how fast I'm doing this. And I save it. I'm gonna have to do a quick little upload in transmit, replace, go bounce the server. Just jump right at here and bounce the server. I just did it, and if I didn't make a mistake, we should have on stream two. Not only the Big Buck Bunny, but we'll also have the Men in Black. And this is, well,
I just want to mention though, for the people who are watching this right now, we're not really showing it. I mean, we're showing it in the test player here, but when we're saying you have two channels running, I mean, all you have to do is connect those channels separately to a player on your website or wherever, and now you have two different stations showing two different pieces of content, both running through Wowza streaming engine.
That's 100% correct. You can go hog wild crazy, and if you're not running the transcoder, you could have dozens of channels running off of one server. So a lot of opportunity there. Now you'll notice that this is getting a little kludgy. It's because that Big Buck Bunny video is like standard definition, and this is 720p. So even with an RTMP player, which is really powerful, unfortunately they're going away, it still struggles with the transition. So again, I come back to that best practice of making sure everything's the same resolution.
Awesome. Well, hey, Tim, I want to thank you for your time, for showing this stuff today. Everyone who's watching this, if you're interested in learning more about the different modules that we have available for Wowza Streaming Engine, I'll definitely post that link on the screen right now. So you should see it. And if you have other questions, you can definitely call our support or even sales team, I assume, Tim?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sales@wowza.com, support@wowza.com. We're here to help.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.